Hannah sat cross-legged on her bedroom floor, moving small wooden pieces across a map. The sun pushed through her window, lighting up her focused face. At 17, she looked younger, with round cheeks and bright eyes that missed nothing. "Grandfather, if General Park had moved his forces here instead," she said, pointing to a mountain pass on the old battle map, "the enemy would have been trapped." Daho smiled at his granddaughter. His white hair and lined face showed his age, but his eyes held the same sharp look as Hannah's. "You're right. That battle was lost because of one bad choice." Hannah had always seen patterns that others missed. When other children played simple games, she created complex battle plans. By age 10, she could beat computer war games on the hardest setting. By 14, she had read every book on war strategy in New Seoul's main library. "Time for school," Daho reminded her. "Your mind needs other subjects too." Hannah sighed but packed up her things. Walking to school through New Seoul's busy streets, she watched people move about. To her, they looked like pieces on a game board, each with set paths and habits. "Hannah, wait up." Jai-woo ran toward her, school bag bouncing against her back. Her smile was wide and honest. Unlike Hannah, Ji-woo made friends easily and laughed often. "You missed the news this morning," Ji-woo said, falling into step beside Hannah. "They found something strange in space, some kind of ship heading toward Earth." Hannah stopped walking. "What kind of ship?" "They don't know yet, but it's not from Earth." That day at school, Hannah couldn't focus on her lessons. While her teacher talked about math problems, she thought about space distances and travel times. During lunch, she used her tablet to find news about the strange ship. The ship had sent a message. It said, "We come in peace. We are the Majoran. We wish to share knowledge." Something about the message felt wrong to Hannah, but she couldn't say why. After school, Ji-woo walked with Hannah to the city center, where screens showed the news. A large crowd had gathered to watch. "The Majoran ship will reach Earth in 3 days," the newswoman said. "World leaders are preparing to welcome our first alien visitors." "Isn't it exciting?" Ji-woo asked, eyes wide. "Real aliens?" Hannah didn't answer. She was studying the image of the ship on screen. Its design seemed made for more than peaceful travel. Its shape reminded her of the attack ships in her strategy games. "I need to go to the library," Hannah said suddenly. "Again? You spend too much time with old books," Ji-woo complained. "The Global Defense Academy is taking applications now. You should apply. With your brain, they'd accept you right away." Hannah shook her head. "I don't want to be noticed." "Too late for that. Remember when you corrected Professor Kim's battle analysis in that online forum? He's been trying to find out who you are ever since." At home that night, Hannah searched for anything she could find about the Majoran message. She created a special program to analyze the words and compare them with Earth's first contact protocols. "Grandfather," she called. Daho came to her room, leaning on his cane. "Look at this." She showed him her analysis. "Their message matches our protocols too perfectly. It's like they studied exactly what we want to hear." Daho frowned. "What else troubles you?" "Their ship has what look like weapon ports, and their approach path changed twice to keep the ship's same side facing Earth. They're hiding something." "Should we tell someone?" Hannah shook her head. "Not yet. No one would believe a teenage girl. I need more proof." She stayed up late, gathering data, making calculations and planning. If the Majoran weren't coming in peace, Earth would need a strategy, and Hannah was very, very good at strategy. Outside her window, the night sky seemed darker than usual, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath, waiting. 3 days passed quickly. The world waited with excitement for the Majoran ship to land. Leaders from every country gathered in Seoul for the historic meeting. Hannah watched it all with growing worry. She had collected more data that made her sure the Majoran were not friendly. But no one would listen to a 17-year-old girl. "Grandfather, I need to get into that meeting," Hannah said over breakfast. Daho looked up from his tea. I might be able to help. My old friend Taiwan is now a general. He owes me a favor. One phone call later, Hannah had a job as a data assistant for the meeting. It wasn't much, but it would get her in the room. Don't get your hopes up, Daho warned. They won't let you speak. Hannah nodded. I just need to be there, to see for myself. The meeting place was the largest building in Seoul. Hannah wore a simple black uniform and kept her head down. No one paid any attention to the quiet girl setting up computer stations and bringing water to the tables. General Ta-won nodded slightly when he saw her, but said nothing. He was tall with a serious face and short gray hair. His uniform showed many medals for bravery. At exactly noon, the Majoran ship landed outside the city. 3 tall figures stepped out. They had blue-gray skin and 4 arms each. Their eyes were large and dark. They wore what looked like simple robes, but Hannah noticed small devices attached to their bodies. The aliens were brought to the meeting room. Hannah stayed in the corner, watching carefully. We welcome you to Earth, said the Korean president, bowing slightly. The tallest Majoran stepped forward. We thank you for your welcome. I am Krell, ambassador of the Majoran people. Something about Krell's voice made Hannah's skin feel cold. She watched him closely as he spoke about friendship and knowledge sharing. His small head movements seemed wrong. Too practiced, too careful. Hannah checked her tablet where she had loaded her analysis program. It showed that Krell's speech patterns matched Earth diplomatic protocols almost exactly, too exactly. No one who wasn't carefully trained would speak that way naturally. She also noticed that the Majoran kept touching the devices on their robes in a pattern. Every 30 seconds, the same movement. Hannah typed a quick message to General Ta-won. The devices on their robes are sending signals. Not translation. Something else. Ta-won glanced at his phone, then at Hannah. He frowned and turned back to the meeting. The talks continued for hours. The Majoran asked many questions about Earth's resources, defense systems, and population centers. They offered little information about themselves. As the meeting ended, Hannah tried one more time. She walked straight to General Ta-won. Sir, they're planning an attack. The signals, the questions, their ship design, it all points to invasion. Ta-won looked down at her with cold eyes. Know your place, girl. These are diplomatic matters. But sir, enough. Your grandfather asked me to let you observe, not to spread wild stories. Hannah stepped back, her face hot with shame and fear. No one would listen. She had to do something else. That night, Hannah tracked the signals from the Majoran devices. They were getting stronger and more frequent. She calculated that something big would happen at exactly 4:00 a.m. At 3:45 a.m., Hannah called General Ta-won. Sir, you need to evacuate the meeting center immediately. The attack is coming in 15 minutes. This is ridiculous, Ta-won started. Sir, please, what do you lose by being careful? There was a long pause. Then, fine. But if you're wrong. Hannah didn't hear the rest. She was already running to wake her grandfather. They needed to get to safety. At exactly 4:00 a.m., the sky lit up with fire as the Majoran ship released hundreds of smaller attack vessels. The first target, Earth's defense systems. First contact had gone very wrong. Smoke filled the sky over Seoul. 3 days had passed since the Majoran attack began. Earth's armies fought back, but they were losing badly. The aliens had better weapons and ships. Hannah and her grandfather hid in their basement as explosions shook the ground above them. She worked non-stop on her tablet, tracking Majoran movements and searching for patterns. We need to leave the city, Daho said, his voice weak with worry. A loud knock made them both jump. Hannah grabbed a kitchen knife, but then heard a familiar voice. Hannah, are you in there? It's Ji-woo. Hannah ran to open the door. Ji-woo stood there with dirt on her face and tears in her eyes. Behind her was General Ta-Wan, looking tired and angry. "You were right," Ta-Wan said simply. "Your warning saved many lives. Now I need your help." He explained that most world leaders were dead or captured. Earth forces were scattered and hiding. The Majoran were taking Earth's resources and killing anyone who fought back. "I know a place we can go," Hannah said. "An old mining base outside the city. My analysis shows the Majoran aren't looking there. They traveled at night, staying off main roads." Hannah led them through back streets and hidden paths. Ji-Woo stayed close to her friend, still shocked by how quickly their world had changed. The mining base was built into a mountainside. It had been empty for years, but still had power and water systems that worked. Inside, they found two more survivors: Sunmai, a young engineer with quick hands and smart eyes, and Junho, a tactical officer who looked at Hannah with doubt. "This is your secret weapon?" Junho asked Ta-Wan, pointing at Hannah. "A schoolgirl." "This schoolgirl predicted the attack when none of us saw it coming," Ta-Wan said sharply. "Show some respect." Hannah ignored them both. She was already setting up her equipment in the main room of the base. On her screens, she tracked Majoran ship movements and communication signals. "I've been studying them," she told the group when they gathered around her. "The Majoran use a language that's based on mathematics. I've started to decode it." She showed them patterns in the Majoran communications. "They're looking for large groups of humans. They expect us to band together and hide. That's why we need to do something different." "What do you suggest?" Ta-Wan asked. "Instead of hiding completely, we make this base look like an automated mining facility. If we run some of the old equipment and create regular patterns of activity, they'll think it's just machines." Junho laughed. "That's crazy. We should stay hidden and wait for help." "Help from where?" Hannah asked quietly. "Earth's major forces are destroyed. The Majoran control most communications. We need to think differently." She turned to Sunma. "Can you get the old mining equipment working?" Sun Li nodded. "I can make it run on a timer. Make it look automatic." "Good. And I need small drones. Can you build those?" "With the right parts, yes." Hannah looked at each person in turn. "The Majoran expect humans to act a certain way, to hide or to attack head-on. We won't do either. We'll be like ghosts, visible but not really there." Ta-Wan studied her face. "You have a bigger plan, don't you?" Hannah nodded. "The Majoran have weaknesses. Their technology is advanced, but their thinking is rigid. They don't adapt well to the unexpected." She pointed to her screen showing Majoran ship patterns. "And their commander, Krell, always follows the same tactics. He doesn't like surprises. So we'll surprise him," Ji-Woo said with a small smile. "Exactly," Hannah replied. "We'll play a game he doesn't understand, with rules he can't learn." As night fell, they worked to set up their hidden base. Outside, Majoran ships crossed the sky like deadly stars. The real fight was just beginning. 1 week passed. The mining base hummed with activity as machines ran on timers, creating the perfect illusion of an automated facility. Hannah watched her screens with careful eyes as a Majoran scout ship flew overhead. "They've passed by 3 times now," she said to the group gathered around her. "Each time, they scan but don't stop. They think no humans are here." Sunmai had worked day and night to build 5 small drones from mining parts. They were simple but could fly and record video. Hannah had designed them to be nearly invisible to Majoran scanners. "Time to see what they're doing," Hannah said, picking up the control pad. She sent the first drone out at night. It flew high above the Majoran base that had been built where Seoul's center once stood. The drone sent back clear images of alien ships, weapons, and guards. "Look at their patrol patterns," Hannah pointed to the screen. "Always the same timing, always the same path. Creatures of habit," Ta-Wan said, nodding. "Good for us." Junho still didn't fully trust Hannah's plan. "So what? They're stronger than us. We can't fight them directly." We won't, Hannah said simply. We'll let them fight themselves. She explained what she had learned about Krell, the Majoran commander. By studying his attack patterns and communication style, she had found his weakness. He believes what he expects to see, she said, and he doesn't trust his own officers. Hannah's plan was to create false signals that would make Krell think some of his officers were plotting against him. At the same time, they would use the drones to set up small, automated attacks that would look like they came from different human groups. Krell will waste time and resources chasing ghosts, she explained, and we'll learn more about their technology while they're distracted. Wu helped Hannah set up the false signals. They worked through the night, creating and testing until everything was perfect. Will this really work? Wu asked, her voice tired but hopeful. It has to, Hannah replied. We don't have the strength to fight them any other way. The next day, they put the plan into action. Sun's drones placed small explosive devices near a Majoran fuel depot. Hannah had timed them to go off exactly when one of Krell's officers was inspecting the area. At the same time, they sent false Majoran communication signals suggesting the explosions were planned by someone inside Krell's command. They watched on the drone's camera as confusion spread through the Majoran ranks. Krell arrived, his four arms moving with angry gestures as he questioned his officers. It's working, Taiwan said with surprise in his voice. They're fighting among themselves. This is just the beginning, Hannah said. Now we need to make Krell think there are human resistance groups in 3 different locations. Jun-Ho finally showed some respect. How did you know he would react this way? Every commander has patterns, Hannah explained. My grandfather taught me to look for them. Krell always blames others when things go wrong. He never considers that he might be outsmarted. Over the next 3 days, they carried out more small attacks, each designed to look like it came from a different group. Each time, they sent false signals that made them Majoran chase shadows. You're playing with them like pieces on a game board, Daho said to his granddaughter with pride in his eyes. Hannah nodded. Every move makes them weaker and us stronger. Soon we'll be ready for the next step. Which is? Asked Sunmei. We're going to steal their technology, Hannah said with a small smile. And we're going to make them give it to us willingly. The others looked at her with confusion, but Hannah's mind was already many moves ahead in this deadly game. A hologram projector. Sunmei looked at Hannah's drawing with wide eyes. I can build it, but it will need a lot of power. 2 weeks had passed since they started their mind games with the Majoran. Each day, Krell grew more angry and confused. His troops wasted time searching empty buildings and chasing false signals. We have enough power, Hannah said, and we only need the holograms to work for a few minutes each time. Hannah's new plan was bold. She wanted to create the image of a large human army. Not real soldiers, but light pictures that would fool the Majoran scanners. The Majoran expect humans to gather and fight, she explained to the group. So we'll give them what they expect to see, but it won't be real. Taiwan nodded slowly. Make them waste resources fighting ghosts. Exactly, Hannah said with a smile. And while they're busy with our fake army, we can move freely. For 3 days, Sunmei worked on the hologram projector. Jiwoo helped gather parts from the old mining equipment. Jun-Ho, now fully on their side, set up defense systems around the base. Hannah spent most of her time studying the data from the drones. She found a pattern in how the Majoran ships moved and communicated. They're like a flock of birds, she told her grandfather. They all follow the lid ship's movements. If we can confuse the lid ship, the others will follow it into trouble. When the hologram projector was ready, they tested it deep in the mine where no one could see. It worked perfectly, creating solid-looking images of tanks and soldiers. Now for the real test, Hannah said. We'll set it up 10 miles east of here. When the Majoran ships come to attack it, Sun's drones will record how they respond. That night, they moved the projector into position. At exactly midnight, Hannah turned it on. The dark valley suddenly filled with the image of a human army camp. Tanks, trucks, and hundreds of soldiers appeared out of nowhere. They watched from a safe distance as 3 Majoran ships quickly arrived. The ships fired powerful weapons at the fake army. The holograms flickered but stayed in place, programmed to move as if taking cover. "They think it's real," Ji Woo whispered with excitement. More Majoran ships arrived. Soon 20 alien vessels circled the area, firing at nothing but light and air. "Now for Phase 2, Hannah said. She activated a second hologram projector 2 miles away. It showed the fake army moving quickly away from the first location. The Majoran ships immediately followed, exactly as Hannah had predicted. "While they chase ghosts, our drones will enter their main base," Hannah explained. Sun and I programmed them to copy any data they can find. They watched as the tiny drones slipped past the few guards left at the Majoran base. On Hannah's screen, files and images began to appear as the drones found and copied Majoran information. "Look at this," Hannah said, pointing to a map on her screen. "These are all Majoran bases around the world, and these are their attack plans for the next month." Taiwan stared at the information with hope in his eyes. This could change everything. "We could warn other human survivors." Hannah nodded. "And there's more. The Majoran have a main ship, bigger than all others. It stays in orbit above Earth. All commands come from there." "From Krell?" Junho asked. "No," Hannah said, her voice serious. "From someone above Krell. Someone called the High Commander." She looked at each person in their small group. "We now have a new target, and I already have a plan to reach it." Outside, the Majoran continued to fight the Phantom Army, never realizing they were being tricked by a 17-year-old girl and her friends. Success made their small group brave, perhaps too brave. They had tricked the Majoran for almost a month now. Each day, they gathered more information and made new plans. Hannah knew they needed help to reach the main Majoran ship. She decided to risk contacting other human survivors. Using an old radio system, they sent coded messages to anyone who might hear. After 3 days, they got an answer. A group of 50 people were hiding in what remained of a shopping mall 20 miles away. Their leader was a businessman named Hyun-sik. "We should meet them," Junho suggested. "With more people, we could do more damage." Hannah felt unsure. Something about the message seemed wrong. The words were right, but the timing was off. "I don't trust this," she told the others. "It could be a trap." "We can't stay alone forever," Taiwan argued. "We need allies." After much talk, they agreed to send Junho and Jiwoo to meet the other group. Hannah gave them strict instructions about what to say and what to keep secret. "Don't tell them where our base is," she warned. "And don't mention our plans for the main ship." The next day, Junho and Jiwoo left. Hannah watched them on the drone cameras until they were out of sight. A bad feeling stayed with her. That night, as Hannah worked on her computer, alarms suddenly rang through the base. On her screen, she saw 10 Majoran ships approaching fast. "They found us," Sunmi shouted, running into the room. "How?" Hannah knew immediately. "We were betrayed. Get everything ready to move. Now." They grabbed what they could: computers, weapons, and food. Hannah copied all her files onto a small drive and slipped it into her shoe. They were almost at the back exit when the first explosion hit. The roof above them cracked. Dust filled the air. "Go," Taiwan shouted, pushing Hannah and Sunmi ahead. "I'll hold them off." "No." Hannah tried to pull him along, but Taiwan stood firm. "Someone has to stay and fight," he said. "Your mind is too valuable to lose." Before Hannah could argue more, Daho pulled her away. "He's right. We must go." They ran into the dark tunnel behind the base. Behind them, they heard shots and alien voices. Taiwan was buying them time with his life. They had almost reached the end of the tunnel when bright lights blinded them. Majoran soldiers stood blocking their way, weapons pointed at them. A human man stepped forward from behind the aliens. He wore an expensive suit, now dirty and torn. His face showed no shame for what he had done. "Hyunsik," Hannah said, understanding now. "You sold us out." The man shrugged. "The Majoran promised to spare those who help them. It's just business." "Where are Junho and Jiwoo?" Hannah demanded. "Safe for now," Hyunsik said with a cold smile. "The aliens want you most of all. The girl who's been causing so much trouble." The Majoran soldiers moved forward. One grabbed Hannah roughly. Daho tried to stop them, but was knocked to the ground. "Grandfather," Hannah cried out. "It's okay," Daho said, blood on his face. "Remember what I taught you. Always think many moves ahead." Hannah nodded slightly. She had expected something like this might happen. She had prepared for it. As the Majoran dragged her away, she looked back once at her grandfather and Sunma. Her eyes told them, this is not the end. The soldiers took her to a large ship. Inside, Commander Krell waited, all four of his arms crossed in front of him. His dark eyes studied Hannah with hate and curiosity. "So you are the one who created the Phantom Army," he said in his strange voice. "I've been looking forward to meeting you." Hannah said nothing. Her mind was already working, analyzing the ship's layout, counting guards, looking for weaknesses. The game wasn't over. It was simply entering a new phase. 3 days passed in the cold cell on the Majoran ship. Hannah sat quietly, watching and listening. The guards checked on her every 4 hours, always following the same pattern. They thought she was defeated. They were wrong. Hannah had studied the Majoran for weeks. She knew their habits, their rules, their weaknesses. Most important, she knew how their chain of command worked. Each soldier followed orders exactly, never thinking for themselves. When the guard brought her food on the 3rd day, Hannah spoke for the first time. "Your commander is making a mistake," she said calmly. The guard paused, all 4 arms holding still. "Prisoners do not speak." "I'm not an ordinary prisoner," Hannah replied. "Commander Krell knows this. That's why the High Commander ordered him to bring me to the main ship." This was a lie, but Hannah had learned that Majoran soldiers feared making mistakes. They worried about disappointing their leaders. The guard's large eyes blinked rapidly. "I received no such order." "Of course not. Krell wouldn't tell you. He wants to question me himself first, to take credit for any information I provide." The guard shifted nervously. Hannah knew she had planted a seed of doubt. Meanwhile, far from the ship, Sunmai worked frantically to finish a new set of drones. These were smaller than before, barely visible to the eye. Daho helped despite his injuries, his old hands carefully connecting tiny wires. Jiwoo and Junho had escaped from Hyunsik and rejoined them. They had found a new hiding place in the ruins of an old hospital. "The trackers Hannah placed in her shoes are still working," Sunbai told them, pointing to her screen. "We can find her." "But how do we get her out?" Junho asked. "There are hundreds of Majoran on that ship." "We don't need to get her out," Daho said with a small smile. "My granddaughter already has a plan. She expected to be captured." He showed them a hidden file on Hannah's computer. It contained detailed instructions on what to do if she was taken. "She's not trying to escape," Daho explained. "She's trying to get to the main ship in orbit. That's where the High Commander is." On the Majoran ship, Hannah continued her work. Each day, she dropped hints to different guards about Krell hiding information from his superiors. She mentioned the High Commander often, knowing the name carried weight. By the 5th day, she heard guards whispering among themselves. Doubt was spreading through the ship. That night, a new guard came to her cell. "Commander Krell wishes to see you," he said stiffly. Hannah was taken to a large room filled with strange equipment. Krell stood in the center, his tall body rigid with anger. "You have been speaking to my guards," he said. Hannah nodded. "I was wondering when you would notice. Your mind games will not work on me. Yet you brought me here, just as I planned," Hannah said calmly. Krell moved closer. "You are my prisoner. You have no power here. I don't need power, Hannah replied. I only need you to make mistakes. Outside the ship, Sunmi's tiny drones approached silently. They were so small, they passed through the ship's security systems without detection. They carried a special program Hannah had written before her capture. The drones found the ship's main computer and connected to it. Within seconds, they began downloading all its data while uploading Hannah's program. Back in the hospital hideout, Sunmi watched as information flooded her screen. It's working, she exclaimed. We're getting everything. Maps, plans, communication codes. Junho looked amazed. She planned this all along. Of course she did, Daho said proudly. My granddaughter always thinks many moves ahead. On the Majoran ship, alarms suddenly blared. Lights flickered as Hannah's program began disrupting systems. Krell received an urgent message. His body stiffened as he listened. Then he looked at Hannah with new understanding and fear. The High Commander's ship has changed course, he said. It's coming here. Now. Hannah allowed herself a small smile. Everything was going according to plan. The massive shadow of the High Commander's ship darkened the sky as it entered Earth's atmosphere. It was 5 times larger than any other Majoran vessel, its surface black and smooth like polished stone. Hannah stood at a window, watching it approach. 2 guards held her arms, but she didn't try to escape. Everything was happening exactly as she had planned. Bring the human to the landing bay, Krell ordered. His voice shook slightly. The High Commander rarely left the main ship. His sudden arrival meant trouble. As they walked through the ship, Hannah carefully counted her steps and memorized each turn. She noted how many guards stood at each door and which ones looked nervous. All information could be useful. In the landing bay, a small craft docked. The door opened and a tall figure stepped out. The High Commander was bigger than other Majoran, with 6 arms instead of 4. His skin was darker blue, and strange metal pieces were attached to his head. All the Majoran bowed deeply. Krell stepped forward, his body stiff with fear. High Commander, we did not expect. Silence. The word cut through the air. The High Commander's eyes fixed on Hannah. This is the human who created the Phantom Army. Yes, High Commander, Krell said quickly. We captured her 5 days ago. 5 days. The High Commander's voice was cold. And you did not inform me immediately. Hannah watched as Krell struggled for words. The confusion she had planted among the guards had worked. Krell's messages to the main ship had been delayed or changed by her program. The High Commander moved closer to Hannah. You have caused much trouble, human child. Not as much trouble as I'm about to cause, Hannah replied calmly. At that exact moment, alarms blared throughout the ship. Emergency lights flashed red. On screens around the landing bay, warning messages appeared. What is happening? The High Commander demanded. An officer ran in, panic clear on his alien face. Ships are attacking our bases worldwide. Human ships we've never seen before. Impossible, Krell said. Their forces were destroyed. Hannah smiled. There were no new human ships. Sunmi's drones had infected all Majoran systems with her program. Now each Majoran base was seeing false images on their scanners. Phantom ships that didn't exist. And more importantly, each base was receiving false orders that seemed to come from other Majoran commanders. The High Commander turned to Hannah, understanding in his eyes. This is your doing. She nodded. Your mistake was thinking that humans fight like you do. We adapt. We change. We use what we have. More alarms sounded. A new officer rushed in. Commander Krell, 3 of our ships are firing on each other near the old human city. Krell looked shocked. I gave no such order. Your signature is on the command, the officer insisted. Chaos spread through the ship as more reports came in. Majoran forces around the world were in confusion, fighting each other, chasing phantom enemies. The High Commander's eyes never left Hannah's face. You turned our own systems against us. Yes, she said simply. And now your choice is simple. You can stay and try to fix this mess, which will take months. By then, humans worldwide will have organized real resistance, or you can leave Earth now, with most of your forces intact. From a hidden earpiece, Hannah heard Sun Mi's voice. The program is at 87% coverage of all Majoran systems. In 3 minutes, their weapon systems will start shutting down. The High Commander seemed to sense the trap closing. You planned all of this, even your capture. Hannah thought of her grandfather's lessons about chess. A good player sees 3 moves ahead. A master sees the entire game from the beginning. Around them, the ship shuddered as systems began to fail. The lights flickered. The High Commander looked at his panicking officers, then back at Hannah. For the first time, a Majoran looked afraid of a human. The High Commander stared at Hannah for a long moment. Around them, the ship continued to shake as more systems failed. "You cannot defeat us," he said finally. "We have conquered 100 worlds." "But none like Earth," Hannah replied. "None with humans." Another alarm sounded. A voice over the speaker system reported that 3 more Majoran ships had begun firing on each other. The High Commander turned to Krell. "Prepare my ship for departure." "But High Commander," Krell protested, "we can still." "Do as I command." All 6 arms moved in angry gestures. This human child has done what no other species has done. She has turned our own strengths against us. Hannah watched carefully as the High Commander's ship prepared to leave. She knew the danger wasn't over. The Majoran might still decide to destroy Earth rather than retreat. "I want to speak to the High Commander alone," she said firmly. The guards looked to Krell, who nodded after a moment. They took Hannah to a small room where the High Commander waited. "What more do you want, human?" he asked. "I want to show you something." From her shoe, Hannah took out the small drive she had hidden there. "This contains information about 100 other ways I could defeat your forces." She was bluffing, but the High Commander couldn't know that. She continued, "If you try to attack Earth again, these plans will be used. But if you leave peacefully, I'll give you this drive so you can protect yourself against these strategies in the future." The High Commander's eyes narrowed. "Why would you help your enemy?" "Because unnecessary fighting helps no one," Hannah said. "My goal is to protect Earth, not to destroy your people." After what seemed like a very long time, the High Commander nodded once. "You are either very wise or very foolish. I cannot yet tell which." Within an hour, a message went out to all Majoran ships. They were to stop fighting and prepare to leave Earth. Some commanders questioned the order, but when the High Commander's ship left the atmosphere, they followed. Hannah was returned to the surface, where her friends and grandfather waited anxiously. When they saw her walking toward them, Jiwoo ran forward and hugged her tightly. "You did it," she cried. "You actually did it." Sun Mi smiled proudly. The program worked perfectly. They never knew what hit them. Junho shook his head in amazement. "I still can't believe it. You beat an entire alien army with just your mind." Hannah looked up at the sky, where the Majoran ships were visible as small dots of light, growing more distant by the minute. "Not just my mind. All of us together." In the days that followed, people emerged from hiding places all over the world. News spread quickly that the Majoran had been defeated, not by weapons, but by the strategy of a 17-year-old girl. World leaders who had survived the invasion came to meet Hannah. They wanted to know how she had done it, how she had seen what no one else could see. "I just looked at the patterns," she explained simply. "Everyone has patterns, even aliens." They offered her medals, money, and power. They wanted her to lead a new global defense system. Hannah turned them all down. "What will you do now?" Taiwan asked her. He had survived after all, though he had been badly hurt defending their old base. "I'm going back to school," Hannah said with a small smile. "There's still so much to learn." On her first day back, other students whispered and pointed as she walked by. The quiet girl who had saved the world was now famous. Jae-woo met her at the school gate. "Ready for your hardest challenge yet?" "Math class." Hannah laughed and linked arms with her friend. After outsmarting aliens, I think I can handle a few equations. Up in the sky, the stars seemed brighter somehow. Earth was safe for now. And if trouble came again, Hannah would be ready. Some battles were fought with weapons, but the most important ones were won with the mind. The end.